Donald Trump had already experienced some of the most dramatic moments in modern political history. From historic summits to surprise world leaders walking through the White House doors, very little truly caught him off guard anymore. But on this day, something different happened. The atmosphere inside the White House shifted the moment two global powerhouses arrived, one representing immense political influence and economic power, the other representing unmatched global fame and sporting legacy. The Saudi Crown Prince and Cristiano Ronaldo. What unfolded next shocked not just Donald Trump, but the entire world. This wasn't just a diplomatic visit, it wasn't just a celebrity appearance, and it definitely wasn't business as usual. This moment symbolized a new era of power, influence, and global alliances. And today we're breaking down exactly what happened, why it mattered, and what it means for the future of global politics, sports, and international power dynamics. Stay with me, because this story goes far deeper than headlines ever revealed. The White House has always been a stage for history. Every hallway, every meeting room, every handshake carries weight. Deals are made, alliances are tested, and moments are carefully calculated. Donald Trump understood this better than most presidents, known for his strong opinions, unconventional diplomacy, and headline-grabbing meetings. Trump had hosted kings, presidents, prime ministers, and billionaires, but this visit stood apart. The arrival of the Saudi Crown Prince was already significant on its own. Saudi Arabia is one of the most powerful nations in the Middle East, with enormous influence over global energy markets, security alliances, and economic investments. Trump had maintained a complicated but strategic relationship with Saudi leadership. One centered on defense deals, oil, and regional stability. But then came the unexpected twist: Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the most famous athletes in human history. A man whose name alone commands attention in nearly every country on Earth. The combination of political authority and global celebrity in one visit raised immediate questions. Why was Ronaldo there? What message was being sent? And why did Trump reportedly react with visible surprise? As the motorcade approached the White House gates, security was tighter than usual. Journalists crowded behind barricades. Cameras zoomed in. Phones recorded every second. First, the Saudi delegation arrived. Formal, composed, powerful. Then, moments later, Cristiano Ronaldo stepped out dressed sharply. Confident. Calm. The reaction was immediate. Reporters exchanged confused glances. Social media exploded in real time. This wasn't normal. A sitting U.S. president receiving a Middle Eastern crown prince is expected, a football icon accompanying him. That was unprecedented. Inside the White House, even staff members reportedly whispered among themselves. Donald Trump, known for his confidence and command of the room, raised an eyebrow. This wasn't on the standard script. To understand why this moment mattered so much, we need to understand the timing. At this point, Saudi Arabia was aggressively rebranding itself on the global stage. The country was investing billions into sports, entertainment, tourism, and international partnerships. Football was central to that strategy. Cristiano Ronaldo's move to Saudi football had already sent shockwaves through the sports world. But this White House visit elevated things to an entirely different level. This wasn't just about football anymore. This was about influence, soft power, image transformation, and global reach. Ronaldo wasn't just an athlete. He was a walking media empire, hundreds of millions of followers, instant global attention, and credibility that transcended politics. Saudi Arabia knew exactly what it was doing, and Trump could see it. When the meeting began, the atmosphere was carefully controlled, but tension lingered beneath the surface. Trump greeted the Crown Prince with firm confidence. Then he turned to Ronaldo. The smile was polite, but the surprise was clear. Trump, who values status and recognition, understood star power, and Ronaldo had it in abundance. This was no ordinary guest. This was someone whose global popularity rivaled that of world leaders. As the cameras flashed, Trump reportedly joked, asking Ronaldo about his football career, his fitness, and even his popularity compared to American sports stars. But beneath the humor was something deeper: respect and curiosity. Why was he here, really? Behind closed doors, discussions reportedly went far beyond ceremonial greetings. Saudi Arabia was pitching itself not just as a regional power, but as a global cultural force. Sports, entertainment, technology, and infrastructure were all part of the conversation. Cristiano Ronaldo's presence wasn't symbolic, it was strategic. He represented proof that Saudi Arabia could attract the biggest names in the world, not just politicians, icons, legends. People who shape public opinion without ever giving a speech. Trump understood branding better than most politicians. He saw what was happening. Saudi Arabia was playing a long game, and Ronaldo was one of its strongest cards. For Trump, this visit was unexpected, but revealing. He had built much of his political identity around strength, dominance, and deal-making. Yet here was another kind of power being demonstrated. Not military, not political cultural power. Influence through admiration, attention, and aspiration. Ronaldo didn't need to speak. His presence alone sent a message. Saudi Arabia had arrived in a new way, and the world was watching outside the White House. Reactions were immediate and intense. Supporters praised the meeting as a sign of strong international ties. Critics questioned the optics. Sports fans were confused. Political analysts debated the implications. Was this sports washing? Was it diplomacy through celebrity? Or was it simply the evolution of global influence? The truth is, it was all of the above. Cristiano Ronaldo's role in this moment cannot be overstated. He represented a bridge between worlds, politics and pop culture, power and popularity, tradition, and modern global media. When Ronaldo speaks, people listen. When Ronaldo appears, cameras follow. And Saudi Arabia knew that aligning itself with that level of visibility would accelerate its transformation faster than any policy speech ever could. Donald Trump, ever the strategist, likely recognized the brilliance and the challenge. The global game was changing. Influence was no longer limited to presidents and prime ministers. Athletes, entertainers, and influencers now shaped narratives just as powerfully. And this meeting made that crystal clear. As the visit concluded, handshakes were exchanged, smiles were photographed, statements were released, but the real impact wasn't written in any official document. It lived in the images, the symbolism, the shock factor. Saudi Crown Prince, a global football icon, and a U.S. president momentarily caught off guard. In the days that followed, headlines struggled to define the moment. Some called it historic, others called it controversial, but no one called it insignificant because it wasn't. It marked a shift, a signal that global power was evolving, that influence could come from unexpected places, and that the White House, long the center of political gravity, was now also a stage for cultural and symbolic power plays. For Trump, it was a reminder. For Saudi Arabia, it was a statement. For Ronaldo, it was another chapter in an already legendary career. And for the world, it was proof that the lines between politics, sports, and global influence had officially blurred. This wasn't just a visit, it was a message. And that message was loud and clear. The future of power doesn't belong to politicians alone anymore. It belongs to those who command attention, shape narratives, and move the world without saying a word. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most unexpected White House moments in modern history, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications